The girl grew up next to bobcats, who were then released into the forest. 12 years later, the girl decided to find these bobcats in the forest. And then something shocking happened. One foggy spring day in Redwood Wildlife Sanctuary in Northern California, Clara Vance woke up to the loud sounds of birds and the fresh scent of morning air. The only daughter of Dr. Alastair Vance, a renowned environmentalist, Clara had spent her childhood surrounded by wild animals that most people only saw in zoos or on TV. From an early age, Clara was surrounded by bobcats living in the reserve. These were sick or injured animals and orphan cubs who needed care. After recovery and rehabilitation, Dr. Vance aimed to release all wild animals back into the wild. He also believed that building bonds between humans and animals from an early age could foster a new generation of passionate conservationists. Thus, two bobcats, Cale and Rory, became Clara's constant companions. These imposing creatures, despite their size and strength, were gentle and caring when it came to little Clara. She even learned to walk under Cale's watchful eye, who would lend a paw to help her keep her balance. Rory was her playmate, and they often ran around together, filling the air with laughter and joyful cries. This harmonious coexistence was possible under the careful supervision of the reserve staff and Dr. Vance himself, who filmed the interactions between his daughter and the bobcats to show that wild animals could be completely safe if treated with care and kindness. For her 5th birthday, Clara received a necklace with a bobcat-shaped pendant from her father, symbolizing her deep bond with her furry friends and her commitment to conservation. On that day, Dr. Vance told her, "You are a bridge between our worlds. The bobcats accept you as one of their own, and this is both a precious gift and a great responsibility." These early years of Clara's life were filled with profound meaning and immense love for the animals. She grew up knowing that every moment with Cale and Rory was an important lesson in life, teaching her respect, care, and the interconnectedness of all beings on our planet. However, one day, Clara had to face the sad reality of parting with her bobcat friends. They needed to return to the wild, join their kind, and help preserve their species. This farewell was one of the most challenging and dramatic moments in her life. As Clara grew older, she began to understand the complexity of her father's work and the important goals of the conservation foundation he led. She knew that the days of playing with Cale and Rory would not last forever, and that they were representatives of their species who belonged in the forest. Clara was 11 when she overheard long discussions among conservationists, biologists, and her father. They were preparing Cale and Rory for release back into the wild and discussing all the details. For Clara, although she was proud of the significant role her friends would play in preserving their species, the news was very sad. On the day of the transportation, the reserve was bustling with activity. Transport crates were loaded and carefully inspected. Clara stayed close to Cale and Rory, constantly talking to them. "You're going home to a place where you can truly be free," she whispered. Cale gently stroked her head as if understanding the importance of the moment. The farewell was emotional, a touching mix of tears and smiles. Convinced of her father's decision, Clara waved until the trucks disappeared from sight, taking a significant part of her heart with them. The following years were a time of growth and learning for Clara. She immersed herself in studying conservation, determined to continue her family's legacy. The longing for her bobcat friends never left her, and the hope of seeing them again burned in her heart like an unquenchable fire. At the age of 23, driven by nostalgia and the desire to check on Cale and Rory's successful reintegration, Clara organized an expedition to the remote forests of the Pacific Northwest, where they had been released. With a team of documentarians and biologists, she set off on the journey. After a long trip, they finally reached the forest. Every smell and sound brought back vivid childhood memories. The next few days were spent diligently searching for the bobcats using radio collars. Then one rainy afternoon, as they walked through the forest, a movement in the dense vegetation caught their attention. Hearts beat faster, cameras were ready, and all eyes were on Clara. The air filled with the most wonderful scents surrounded the travelers as they cautiously moved forward. Every sound seemed amplified. Clara, leading the group, knew she wouldn't stop until she reached her goal. Her eyes scanned the surroundings, trying to spot any movement. Hours passed slowly, and the sun shone brightly overhead. The local guide, a man named Matteo, signaled everyone to be silent. They entered an area where a group of bobcats, possibly including Kale and Rory, had recently been seen. Clara felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. She knew the bobcats could have changed significantly after years in the forest. They were no longer young animals playing in the reserve. They were now likely leaders of their groups, wild and well adapted to harsh conditions. Suddenly, Matteo stopped and pointed to thick bushes from which low sounds and movement could be seen. Clara's heart raced. She held her breath, camera ready. The bushes rustled more intensely, and then an enormous bobcat emerged. It took Clara only a few seconds to recognize Rory by his gaze and posture. He stopped and looked directly at her. Their eyes met, and for a moment the world around them seemed to disappear. Clara couldn't tell if Rory recognized her or was just curious about the people. The bobcat took a step forward. Clara felt the tension among the team members, aware of the potential danger of an adult bobcat. Hoping the animal would recognize her, she took a step forward and quietly said, "Rory, it's me, Clara." Her voice trembled, but the bobcat definitely heard her. The animal tilted its head, observing her closely. The group held their breath, watching the silent exchange between human and bobcat. After a tense moment, Rory made a low sound, and Clara instantly felt he recognized her. Matteo whispered to the group to stay calm and avoid sudden movements. Rory took another step forward and finally relaxed. Clara hoped the bobcat no longer posed a threat. She took another step, and Rory approached even closer. Relief and joy flooded over her. The tension between them dissipated, and Rory made low sounds reminiscent of those from his childhood. Rory stopped a few steps away from Clara and extended his paw, lightly touching her. Clara overcame her fear and touched his paw in return. A smile appeared on her face, and tears glistened in her eyes. Surprising everyone, Rory gently hugged Clara. She hugged him back, overwhelmed with emotion. The long-awaited reunion was even more touching than she had imagined. The documentarians filmed every moment of this rare and beautiful scene. Clara and Rory stood hugging for a long time. It was an incredible reunion that transcended species barriers, reaffirming the deep bond that had formed 12 years earlier. After the emotional reunion, Clara spent several hours observing Rory and his group in the forest. The team kept their distance to avoid stressing the bobcats. It was clear that Rory had become a respected leader, tenderly caring for his family. Watching her old friend in his natural habitat, Clara gained a new understanding of the importance of her family's conservation work. It was living proof that efforts to return wild animals to their natural habitats could succeed. When evening came, Clara knew it was time to say goodbye again. With a heavy heart, she approached Rory, knowing they would never see each other again. This time there were no tears, only gratitude and satisfaction. She whispered her farewell, promising to continue the important work that had brought them together. Rory seemed to understand this was a farewell. With a gentle look and a soft touch, he returned to his family, disappearing into the forest. Clara returned to civilization, carrying memories of the reunion and a renewed passion for conservation. She was determined to follow in her father's footsteps, striving for a future where humans and animals could live in harmony. This reunion, captured in photos and video, became a symbol of the incredible bond between humans and animals and a compelling testament to the necessity of environmental conservation. If you were touched by this story, please subscribe to Helping Hub for more.